What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another live stream on High Altitude Investing. Today is the 31st of December. It's going to be a really good stream today. Excited about some of the stuff that we're going to be running over because one of the biggest altcoin seasons ever is about to start, and I'm super excited about it. So let's go ahead and share the link in Discord like I always do, and on my X account as well. And we'll get started talking about this wonderful world of crypto, which is super fun because there's some big stuff coming in this market, and I'm very excited about it. So it's going to be a good live stream. Alrighty. Cool. Let's see if I can make sure everything's ready to go. Make sure my stream settings are correct here. And cool. All right. What is up, Rapids? Thank you for tuning in to today's live stream, and happy New Year's Eve. It's going to be a fun stream today, talking about altcoins and Bitcoin too, of course, because Bitcoin is bullish as well. But yeah, we're going to be talking about altcoins, some of my favorite altcoins, some of the setups that I'm seeing. So yeah. So let's start off here. We're going to start off here with talking about Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance is not looking good right now. So we have a couple different patterns that tells me that Bitcoin dominance is bearish right now. So the first one that we see here is on the 8-day time frame. So we're zoomed out a little bit here. We have a big rising wedge on Bitcoin dominance that we broke bearish out of. We broke bearish out of this wedge back in July of this year. We started to break bearish out of this wedge. And a lot of times you will have a retest. So you can see we came back and retested this level one time here. And then we started to reject again. And now we are kind of hanging out around 59% in Bitcoin dominance. So what I expect to have happen here is a bearish break of this level. So we should see some type of a rejection off of this area up here and a bearish break. So something like this should start to happen on Bitcoin dominance. So whenever you get a breakout of a rising wedge like this, like I said, most of the time you come back and retest the wedge one time, which is exactly what we did here. And then you'll get continuation of the breakdown of the rising wedge. So we're really at that point here where we should get continuation on the downside with Bitcoin dominance. And if you look at Bitcoin dominance cycles, you can see here that if we pull up our cyclical tool over here, our time cycles tool, and we click on this bottom and come all the way over to this bottom, you can see that just purely based on time cycles alone, we're really getting to that point where we should start to curl around here and drop off on Bitcoin dominance. Now, there's something super important to understand about this. A lot of people think that if Bitcoin dominance is going down, that Bitcoin is going down. But the actual truth is that if Bitcoin dominance starts to go down, Bitcoin is usually skyrocketing. In fact, every time it's gone down, Bitcoin was skyrocketing. So Bitcoin went from being worth like 1,000 per coin all the way to 20,000 right here. Even though Bitcoin dominance was falling off a cliff, the price of Bitcoin was skyrocketing during this period of time. And same with right here as well. So it just means that altcoins are going to take off, because what ends up happening is Bitcoin always starts these bull markets. It's always the first one to run. And then Bitcoin dominance starts to fall off a cliff, and altcoins run, and Bitcoin and altcoins run together. But altcoins have a tendency to do a bigger percentage gain because they have a smaller market cap. They're more speculative. They're more of a risk-on type of asset. So you'll get a big rally in altcoins and Bitcoin, but Bitcoin dominance is going down. So that's what I see here in the chart with Bitcoin dominance. A lot of reasons to be bearish on Bitcoin dominance, but not bearish on Bitcoin. Definitely not bearish on Bitcoin. At least historically, unless for some reason this time is different, which I don't think it will be. Historically, we've seen Bitcoin rally during those periods of time where Bitcoin dominance is going down. It's just the alt season is in full force, so you see a drop in Bitcoin dominance, right? Dinoa17 says Theta is bigger than Bitcoin. You know, in terms of market cap, it's not yet, but in terms of the potential for profit, absolutely, Theta is bigger than Bitcoin in that sense. It's going to give you a much bigger percentage gain. The opportunity is a lot better on Theta in terms of percentage gain, in terms of how undervalued it is in relation to its local high and its all-time high. So yeah, Theta will give you a bigger percentage gain than Bitcoin will. And this kind of speaks towards what I've been saying here with Bitcoin dominance looking ready to fall off a cliff here. You're going to see altcoins rally like crazy. You're going to see a big run in your favorite altcoins because Bitcoin dominance is dropping off, or starting to. It started to happen this year. Started to break bearish out of that rising wedge that we were just talking about. So Miguel says, good morning, crypto is dumping right now. You know, Bitcoin is dumping a little bit in the short term. If you look at Bitcoin, let's take a look at Bitcoin here on the daily. Actually, let's go to like the 45-minute. But it's been doing this over and over for like the past couple weeks, really. I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, it's been so choppy. You'll see a big pump, a big dump, a pump, a dump, a pump, a dump. It's just chopping around like crazy. So I wouldn't look at this as like, oh, this is proof that we're going to drop. Because look how many times it did the same thing and then recovered, right? So just really until we break out of this range in either direction, there isn't a clear direction. And with how oversold we are on Bitcoin from our local high up here, it's really more probable that we have a bull break than anything else. You know. But if you're looking at Bitcoin in terms of this range, we don't have a clear direction until we break out of this range in either direction, right? We have our range high, our range low, the middle of the range right here, which is exactly where we're at. So we could see a bullish reaction off of this level, right? So it's very choppy on the short term, you know. Don't worry about all the chop on Bitcoin. Just look for a breakout of the range in either direction. Like I said, it's more probable that we break bullish out of these lows than anything else. Look how big this correction was. We have our ABC correction here. It's really time for Bitcoin to see a bullish reaction off of this low down here. We've started to see a little bit of strength come in, but we should see a strong recovery on Bitcoin. What's really starting to paint here is more of an Adam and Eve double bottom pattern, which is where the first bottom looks like a triangle, like this. You have a kind of a triangle structure. And then the second bottom is rounded, right? Because we tend to think of masculine as more like sharp angles, and feminine is more rounded, right? So this is why it's called an Adam and Eve, right? Adam and Eve bottom, because the female side of the bottom is the rounded shape, and the male masculine side of the bottom is this triangle shape. So this is actually an Adam and Eve double bottom pattern. It's obviously not confirmed until we break above the range high up here in 94K. But this choppiness doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that it's going to go down just because it's dropping a little bit in the short term, Miguel. Misu Magha says, "Hey Dallin, what is up? Thank you for tuning in." 007 Cold Fire says, "Velo, you know I made a video about Velo yesterday, so I'm not going to go into it again today, but go watch the video that I made because I went in depth on Velo yesterday in a specific dedicated video." Justin Crypto OG says, "LMAO. You're going to have to tell me what you're laughing about for me to understand what you're saying." King J says, "Good morning, Dallin. Happy New Year." Happy New Year to you too, my friend. And it should be a good year. 2026 should be a really good year. He also says, "How high do you think the price of Ethereum can go this cycle?" You know, $20,000 per Ethereum wouldn't surprise me at all to see a $20,000 Ethereum. So let's zoom out here on Ethereum and take a look at the big picture here. So we've started, you can see this big V bottom shape right here. We came back down to support a little bit, but really this is like a big accumulation, okay? All of this right here, this whole area right here, this is like a big accumulation before we break out and go higher. We really didn't even break above the old all-time high. I mean, we did for a second, but we haven't even really broke above the old all-time high. So once we do break above the old all-time high here in the big picture, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see 20,000 per Ethereum at all. One bit. That wouldn't shock me at all. So this is really just a big kind of rounded accumulation, just like over here, you know, just a different type of shape, but the market has to round out before it goes up for a new all-time high. This one was more volatile, but that's what it's doing. It's getting ready for a big breakout. So, and another cool thing here about Ethereum, if we look at the Elliott waves for this coin, we have our first we have our ABC correction down, right, from our peak right here. So there's our ABC. Just like the ABC that we saw over here, if we zoom into Ethereum right here, we have an ABC correction down right here, followed by a massive recovery, right? So we have our ABC here on Ethereum on this current cycle. And then we can count our Elliott waves. So we have wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and our fifth wave right here. Then we have our ABC down. This happens to be an expanded flat because this goes slightly above the top of wave 5. ABC down. So we have 5 waves up and an ABC correction down. And then if we look here, now we're starting our wave 3 here. So these are all subwaves. So we have our big picture wave 1 and our big picture wave 2 in place here on Ethereum. And these are all subwaves of our big picture wave 1 and 2. And now we're getting ready for our third wave. So if you guys don't know about Elliott wave principle, wave 3 is going to be bigger than wave 1. It's going to be more impulsive, more bullish, bigger in every single way. So let's drop this onto the chart. So basically wave 1 is this little wave right here. You can see the subwaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC down inside of wave 1 and 2. And then you can see our wave 3 is bigger than wave 1. So this is all wave 1 and 2 here on Ethereum. And now we're really gearing up for wave 3. And if you look right here, this will look something like this, okay? So like wave 3 up here, maybe around like 13,000 or 10,000 per coin. Usually it's at least the 1618. There's a minimum target for wave 3. It's the 1618 from measuring from the bottom of wave 0 to the top of wave 1 and back down to the bottom of wave 2. You have a minimum target of the 1618 in wave 3, but with crypto, a lot of times we see the 2618 or even higher for our 3 wave, just because of how bullish people get in crypto. So we could see like a $10,000 Ethereum here just in wave 3 alone. So then we count our subwaves. This will be wave 1 and wave 2 of our subwave here, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in our little example here. I'll make it bigger for you guys that maybe can't see as well, or some of you guys are older. So we have wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC inside of wave 3 and 4, right? So we've already done wave 1, wave 2 for our big picture waves. Now we're really gearing up for wave 3 here. You can see how it's starting to get steeper too. Like this subwave, wave 1 and 2 is like really steep. If you look right here, you can see it starts to get steeper. That's because wave 3 is bigger, it's more impulsive, so it's going to be more vertical, just a lot more, vertical and impulsive than wave 1 or 2 was, and so it gets steeper. So we have wave 1, 2, so we're getting ready for 3 of 3. So you can see here's our subwave 3, and here's our big picture wave 3. So a 3 of 3 is generally very vertical, very impulsive, and very bullish, which lines up with what I was talking about earlier with Bitcoin dominance getting ready to fall off a cliff. Not that Bitcoin will fall off a cliff, it'll probably go crazy as it always has during alt season, but altcoins will do bigger percentages. And that's what we see here with Ethereum. We see a potential 3 of 3 coming, and that will be very vertical, but we also see on the Bitcoin dominance chart that we were just looking at the start of the stream that Bitcoin dominance is really ready to fall off a cliff as we broke bearish out of this rising wedge this year. And according to our time cycles, we're really due for a correction on Bitcoin dominance here. So that should lead to a big alt season for us. And Ethereum's a good example of, hey, we're getting really bullish here, really ready for a big 3 wave. And Bitcoin dominance is ready to fall off. So everything's lining up here for Ethereum to see a big wave 3 here. Now, of course, that wouldn't be the top of the Ethereum cycle. We'd see wave 4 and wave 5. So I could see easily 15,000, even 20,000 per Ethereum before our entire L8 wave sequence is over, right? So we'd still have wave 4 here, and then our 5th wave, which sometimes with crypto we'll see an extended 5th wave, in which case, like I said, it could easily hit 20K per Ethereum before this whole bullish Elliott sequence is over here in the big picture. So that's been my analysis on Ethereum for quite some time, and it's following that perfectly. So Doge just did an ABC correction on the shorter time frame. I'll have to go look at that in just a second. Operation Shutdown says, hello, Dallin. Here's to a great 2026. Well, thank you for tuning in, and I'm super excited about 2026. It should be very profitable and prosperous for all of us. Mitch Phillips says, are you sunshine pumping, or will it ever happen? I'm just giving you guys the truth as I see it, based on technical analysis, based on everything that I've learned over the past 9 years of doing this. Fanta says, oh, hey, Dallin. No Diddy. Misumanga says, do check Solana as well, Dallin. All right, I'll check in just a second. Theta Network rode to $44. We can look at Theta in just a second as well. Aguilia Cosmica. Aguilia Cosmica. Hello, brother. Nice to catch you live. Watch your videos from time to time. Do you think the market will continue going down, or is it restarting its ever-seeing motion? So for me, the market is looking pretty bullish. Whenever altcoins or whenever Bitcoin dominance is looking really bearish, that's going to be a huge indicator that this market is really bullish. This is just one of the things that I'm looking at here. You can see our time cycles with Bitcoin dominance, and we're really getting ready to curve over here and start to fall off a cliff in Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin will rally, it always does. Like during here when Bitcoin dominance went from 95% down to 35%, Bitcoin went from 1,000 to 20,000. So Bitcoin is going to rally during that period that's coming up right here, this dropping off on Bitcoin dominance. But because altcoins have smaller market caps, because they're more speculative, they do bigger percentage gains. So Bitcoin dominance goes down, even though the entire market is going up. So that's just one thing that's very clear, very easy to see, that we should see a big increase in the altcoin markets and the Bitcoin markets as well. Liberty or Death 1776 says this is the time to keep nibbling on your favorite cryptos so you don't miss these prices. I will then go very hard if we get a strong pullback, if we get confirmation on breakouts to the upside. Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year. And I agree. Like, it's a perfect time to be accumulating. Again, I'm bullish, but no matter what happens, the market is undervalued. Like, especially altcoins right now are very undervalued. So just picking up as much as you can. Whatever happens, if it breaks out, buy more. If it breaks down, buy more. Because fact of the matter is the market is going to see a bullish reaction at some point, right? So let's check out Doge here. AJ says Happy New Year. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I heard Theta got sued by one of its directors or something. Yes, that is true. But if you look into it, it's one of the stupidest lawsuits ever. There's basically nothing behind it. He's trying to say all kinds of dumb stuff, like that he was discriminating between sexes when he was hiring people, and just like a bunch of stuff that when you look into it's like, this is the stupidest thing ever. So, we'll check out Theta, the chart, in just a second. But let's pull up Doge because somebody wanted, Rapids wants me to check out Doge on this shorter time frame. So we'll just kind of go down the list here. You said it did an ABC correction on the shorter time frame. Yeah, it did. It did pull back a little bit here. This does look like an ABC. I'm assuming this is what you're talking about right here. So yeah, in the short term, if you're swing trading this, you could easily make some money off of a bounce buying this ABC. They're really good entries to buy the bottom of those ABC corrections, wherever you see them. I mean, look right here, Perfect time to buy. Just popped right back up. So it can be profitable to buy those little corrections like that. Check out Solana. Okay, let's pull up Solana here. Solana versus the dollar. So the first thing I'm going to look at here, let's go to Solana on not the daily, let's do the 4 hour maybe. Yeah, there we go. So if you look at the MACD here, you can see Solana did a lower low in price. We have our low right here. Then we did a lower low like this. But if you look at the MACD, we have this big higher low, right? So that's bullish divergence here on the 4 hour for Solana. So that's a really good reversal signal. Whenever you see this type of bullish divergence like this, most of the time you're going to see a bullish reaction on the shorter time frame because we're on the 4 hour right? So we're zoomed in on the shorter time frame. For example, if you see this on the daily, you're going to see a bullish reaction to. It doesn't really matter what time frame you're looking at. The bigger the time frame, the more power there is, because you're looking at more data. So if you have a bullish signal like on the weekly, it's a stronger signal than like a bullish signal on the 15-minute. But this is definitely a buy signal on the 4-hour for Solana. And if we zoom out here a little bit, let's go to the daily and take a look at what's happening here. Just here on the daily as well, we have our ABC correction right here. That's a really, this is oversold on the RSI. We just completed an ABC correction. We're on support, right? This is a horizontal support area over here. And it goes all the way back to here as well. You can see all of this support going all the way back here. So this is a huge area of support for Solana. And this could be a leading diagonal as well. So let's pull up a leading diagonal, Elliott wave. Where are you? That's an ending diagonal. Where's our leading diagonal here? Leading diagonal. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So this could be a leading diagonal as well. So we have our rising wedge right here. Here's a rising wedge. And then we have 5 waves up. So wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see this is a leading diagonal structure here for Solana. So I know a lot of people are drawing a big head and shoulders here. Like what the popular consensus is, hey, look, Solana did this big head and shoulders. So we're probably going to break down, but we haven't broke down yet. So first of all, a head and shoulders is never, it's not confirmed until you break the neckline, which the neckline is this big green support box that I have drawn right here. That's where the neckline is. So this pattern isn't confirmed yet. Plus, everybody's drawing it. So that's a big red flag too, because most people think it's going to happen, right? And the majority is usually wrong. But here with our Elliott wave on the right, you can see a leading diagonal formation in a bull market. That's what Solana looks to be doing here. So this should lead to wave 1, 2, 3, right? Big breakout for 3, 4, and 5. We should see continuation out of this leading diagonal that we see here on Solana. Another thing that leads to me to believe that Solana is bullish here in the big picture, if we zoom out a little bit here, we have a big cup and handle. So nobody's talking about this. Everybody's just talking about the head and shoulders. But there's a massive cup and handle on Solana, which was very similar to the gold cup and handle before gold broke out, very similar to the silver cup and handle before silver broke out. Crypto trades a lot like commodities, you guys. And then if we pull up another really good example of what these markets can look like, let's look at Costco Wholesale Corporation. And let's go back to one of its first cycles here. And let's pull up Solana with all of the data, which I believe is on Binance, is where we're going to get all of the data. There we go. Cool. So if you look here, this is Costco on the right, and this is Solana on the left. And this is actually pretty similar. Not only does Solana look a lot like silver and gold and with the cup and handle pattern, but also Solana looks a lot like Costco back in the day. I mean, here's Costco, here's Solana. Costco had some pretty big corrections as it started to break out. Look at that. You can see these corrections here. But it kept continuing its trend. So even though the fractals aren't identical, which we always say history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, this is a similar attitude of this brand new stock. You know, back in the 80s, this was a new stock, Costco was. And this is kind of the fractal it was doing as it started to develop a big picture uptrend, right? And that's really what Solana is doing as well. Same type of attitude in this market. So let's pull up Theta. I've been requested to do Theta analysis by like multiple people now. So let's pull up Theta. I've got a lot of requests in the chat, so I'll try to do all of them in the stream today. So Theta is in the depression phase of its cycle. Here was euphoria right here, and we're in depression down here. So this is the point of maximum financial opportunity with the lowest possible risk for this coin. This was anger right here, and now we're in depression. So that's the best time to possibly buy. Now, normally when depression phases of market cycles happen, you normally will have some super bearish news coming out, like people saying like really negative things during the depression phase of a cycle. And that's exactly what we see here with Theta. There's all this FUD. I mean, this same thing has happened to Bitcoin many times. Like when Bitcoin hit 3K after hitting 20, the FUD that was out there was crazy. Same thing when Bitcoin hit 14K after hitting 69,000. The FUD was just crazy. Everybody was bearish on Bitcoin, right? It was crazy. In the news, tons of negative stuff about it, you know. So here's our Wall Street cheat sheet. For some reason, I can't find a better example of it. One that doesn't have this big box around it, but whatever. And you can see we have euphoria right here, anger right here, and then it goes for one more low, and that's depression. And that's where Theta's at in its cycle. So this is the best possible time to be buying Theta. 26 cents, you guys. This thing was worth $15 at one point. And that doesn't mean that it's dead, by the way, because altcoins have a tendency to drop over 90% before they start a new bull market. Ethereum does this. Solana did this. This is a common thing for altcoins to do, to drop over 90% from the euphoria phase of their cycle and then start a bull market after it drops 90%. So it doesn't mean it's dead. By the way, if you guys want a really cool Theta hat, these have been selling like crazy. They're all over on X now. Everybody's been talking about them. I've got these really cool Theta hats. They're limited supply. Link in the description box below. These things are awesome. So if you're in the US, the shipping is accounted for in the cost of the price of the hat. If you're not in the US, you'll have to email me and pay for international shipping. But if you guys want one of these really cool Theta hats, check in the description of this live stream. Or one of these really cool Theta t-shirts as well. I've got multiple different sizes for the t-shirts, and the hats are snapback, so you can change the size to whatever you like. But yeah, Theta really is, it's set up for some big things, you guys. Set up for some really big things. You have to understand cycles, because if you understand cycles, you can make a lot of money in these markets. Like if you look at Ethereum, okay, everybody thought Ethereum was dead when it hit $80 per coin. Everybody thought it was dead. Look at this. Here's our euphoria phase on Ethereum. Here's our anger phase right here. And here's our depression phase. Goes for one more lower low. then the price of Ethereum skyrocketed all the way to a new all-time high. So this is what crypto cycles look like. This is normal for altcoins in the world of cryptocurrency to do this. Nothing crazy is happening. And by the way, the FUD on Ethereum right here in 2020, March of 2020, was extremely high. So yeah, I'm a big bull on Theta. Really big Theta bull. How do you think silver going crazy will affect the crypto market? Well, actually, that's a really good question, first of all. Second of all, what we've historically seen is that gold and silver actually rally right before crypto does. So if we pull up gold right here, let's use one single chart. And actually, let's pull up Bitcoin on Coinbase here. And then we'll add gold on top of it. So let's throw gold on top. Let's delete it again and throw it with the correct scale. New price scale. There we go. If you look right here, historically, gold rallies first right here. You can see gold rallying first. And then gold tops out and Bitcoin went crazy. Bitcoin went all the way to gold topped out during COVID, basically during COVID right here, just a little bit past it. And then Bitcoin rallied like crazy. And when I say COVID, I mean the COVID drop, right? In March of 2020, we dropped on Bitcoin and altcoins like 50, 60%. So that's the COVID drop down there on the chart. So gold topped out shortly after the COVID drop, and then Bitcoin went crazy afterwards. And if we look over here, gold is going crazy. Bitcoin has this drop right here, just like what happened during COVID in March of 2020. I'm not saying this is the top of the entire gold cycle, but it could see a short-term correction like it did right here, a healthy correction before it went higher, and that's exactly when crypto went nuts, was right after gold topped out. So historically, we've actually seen money come out of crypto or out of commodities and into crypto at these local peaks. And it could easily be a local peak on gold. We could have a healthy correction. I'm not trying to call the top on the whole cycle or anything, but we could have a healthy correction on gold. It's lining up just like it did before our last big rally in the crypto markets. Let's see here. What other coins? H-bar is going so low. It has to pop soon. Will you evaluate? Yes, I will. I love H-bar. So let's pull up H-bar on, I think it's Coinbase has the most data. No, it's not. It's got to be Binance has the most data for H-bar. There we go. So I know this looks painful because it is. You know, we came from 40 cents and we're all the way back down to 10 cents. That's a pretty big drop in the short term. But what's happening to H-bar in terms of its cycle is a lot different than what people think is happening. So this is our H-bar crypto kind of bubble that happened in 2021. Then we had our bear market in 2022. But this is the disbelief phase of a new cycle. So we've got some really good examples of this type of structure. Let's pull up Amazon as a really good example of this same type of structure. Whoops. So first of all, just in the short term, I can tell you H-bar is doing an ABC correction. So we have our A wave right here, our B wave right here, and our C wave right here. So this is an ABC correction. And yes, it's going to bottom soon. I don't know exactly when, but it will bottom soon. It's not going to keep going down like this forever. It's probably going to bottom sooner rather than later. With Bitcoin dominance looking as bearish as it is, H-bar is going to bottom soon. But in terms of the cycle, if you take a look here at Amazon, So these cycles, like I said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. This was the internet bubble on Amazon right here. Amazon went from being worth 9 cents all the way up to $5.68 and then back down to 27 cents. And Amazon was in the disbelief phase of its cycle right here in 2008 when it pulled back. As it started to get closer to its old all-time high, it had a pretty brutal correction. This was the disbelief phase on Amazon.com. Okay. Well, we had a crypto bubble in 2021, just like an internet bubble. But what people don't realize is that the best time to buy internet stocks wasn't during the internet bubble, but it was in 2003 and in 2008 after the internet bubble had popped. That was the best time to buy internet stocks. And if we look at H-bar right now, H-bar did the same thing. Crypto bubble pop, starting to show signs of strength. Here's our ABC correction on Amazon as it started to get close to the old all-time high. And look, H-bar started to get close to the old all-time high up here. Same thing. ABC correction that we have here on this coin. It could bottom right now. It could bottom tomorrow. It could go a little bit lower. It could hit 8 cents maybe, but the worst of it's over. It's going to bottom soon. And when it recovers, it's going to be a big bull market for this coin. Because basically what's happening to crypto is the same kind of thing in terms of new technologies being adopted by the public as what happened to the internet and what happened to home computing. Crypto it's a big deal, just like the internet, just like home computing. And you can see the same type of adoption cycles in these charts, and H-bar is a perfect example of one of these setups where it's a really good setup. It's going to see a big picture reversal, and I foresee a lot of growth in this coin, a lot of big picture growth for H-bar, just like what happened to Amazon. Happy New Year. Happy New Year Eve. Are you going to elk hunt with your dad today? Can we get Theta 10 cents because it keeps breaking lows? No, I'm not going elk hunting right now. I'm more of a fisherman. I have shot an elk before. Super fun. Good tasting meat. I love elk meat. It's really good. But I'm more of a fisherman. Fishing is kind of my thing to go do. And can we get Theta 10 cents because it keeps breaking lows? I doubt that we're going to go to 10 cents per Theta. I highly doubt it. It's more likely that we bottom soon, if we're not already at the bottom, very soon. So, fear to drop price. I also heard they're going to buy their own coins. You know, I'm pretty sure most developers of most of these projects are buying their own coins. You know, if you have a company, you give out stock to your employees. That's a pretty typical practice to do. Now, if you have your own coin, a lot of these people are going to be buying their own coins. They might even hold a portion of the supply. They're probably paying some of their employees with that kind of stuff sometimes. Bonuses, different things like that. So that's pretty common practice, and there's nothing wrong with it to buy, you know. So if they do start buying, for example, Theta or whatever coin you're looking at, if the creator of the coin is buying, what does that tell you? That tells you that they probably know something big is coming. So it's actually a good thing if the creator of a coin is buying in the dip. That tells you that's probably a good dip to buy yourself, you know. He's going to know better than almost anybody else the reality of potential growth and those kinds of things. Boomlay 4703 says XRP P. I get the point. You don't have to use more than one P if you're gonna write XRP. Let's pull up the chart here. XRP. Let's go to the daily candlesticks here. So my view on this has not changed, you guys, from the last time that I talked about this coin. This is a running flat correction right here. So this is actually a continuation pattern for XRP. So we have, this is all wave 1 and wave 2. So we have wave 1 right here, and this is wave 2. And we should get our 3 wave here soon. I know it looks like it's dead, looks like it's just totally dead, but we should get our big picture wave 3 here very soon for XRP, and our running flat here looks done. Looks like it's really ready to break out. So watch especially for a break above this downward trending resistance line right here to really confirm this pattern, to confirm the breakout. We do have a bit of a falling wedge right here. You can see price is falling into a wedge structure, which is also bullish. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a bullish break on XRP soon. If we're talking microscopic short term, it could go to the bottom of this wedge one more time at like $1.72 and then break out. But overall, it looks like it's really ready for a breakout soon on the upside. So that's my view on XRP. Matt Osty says, Happy New Year, sir. Well, thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Burkaz0613 says, what up, brother? What targets for BCH to start taking profits past its all-time high? Happy New Year's boom to the moon. Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well. If we look at BCH, let's go on Coinbase is the best spot to look. First of all, this thing is so bullish, you guys. It's ridiculous. It's just steadily climbing after this ABC correction right here. Wave A, wave B, and wave C. You can see this steady climb up off of these lows. This is a rounded bottom as well. You can see a rounded bottom right here, which actually creates a big cup and handle pattern. You can see the cup right here and the handle. This thing is gearing up to break out to the upside. This looks really good. The other thing that we can see here, if we zoom out, that I talked about in my video as well as my live stream, is that this is a perfect descending resistance breakout. So on the log chart, if we zoom out, we look at this descending resistance. We broke above this level, came back down and tested it as support. So this is a huge breakout on the logarithmic chart of a descending resistance line that's been forming since 2018. So that looks really good. Now, as far as targets go in the big picture, let's zoom out here a little bit. Or let's switch to the linear chart here. So our previous old all-time high is about $4,200 per Bitcoin cash. So I could easily see 10,000 in a mass adoption cycle, which is what I'm expecting for crypto in the big picture. 10,000, if we really moonshot, 20,000 wouldn't surprise me at all per Bitcoin cash. Bitcoin had no problem going from $500 to 20,000 in a single year. So in mass adoption cycle for crypto, which is what these charts are really set up to do, 10,000, 20,000 per Bitcoin cash is not out of the question. It's 100% possible for this coin. Wouldn't surprise me, in fact, to see that. Which is, I know people think that's crazy talk with how much bearishness there is in the market, but very few people see what the institutions see, which the big institutions are looking at institutional adoption, mass adoption for the public. They've already positioned themselves. You can see it in the chart. Look at all this accumulation over multiple years. You can see it in the chart. So this thing really is ready for some big picture, massive growth, big institutional growth. So 10,000, 20,000 per coin would not surprise me at all for Bitcoin Cash. And just to kind of show you in terms of fractal analysis for this coin, which I've shown this in other videos and live streams as well, but just to prove to you that in a mass adoption cycle, which if you look right here, this Litecoin accumulation, that was a big accumulation, but if you look at Bitcoin Cash, this has been accumulating since 2017. Like this whole pattern here is a massive accumulation for Bitcoin Cash. That's what it is. Just this massive accumulation. So as Litecoin broke out of its massive accumulation, look how high this thing went. Look how vertical it went. So people say, oh, well, Dallin, that's kind of crazy to call for 20,000 per Bitcoin Cash. Well, if you compare these charts together, in a mass adoption cycle for crypto, which is what I firmly believe is coming for this market, this isn't just a pump and dump anymore. Crypto is a real technology. Big institutions know it. They're taking it seriously. So in a mass adoption cycle for crypto, this thing could easily hit 20,000 per coin. No problem. Just looking at the Litecoin fractal, when Litecoin pumped in 2017, but imagine a bigger, longer in terms of time, because this is way longer in terms of time this cycle is on Bitcoin Cash. Imagine the same type of move, but over a bigger picture, longer period of time. 20,000 per coin, no problem for this coin. Boomly 4703 says, Happy New Year. Well, thank you. He also says, been saying alt season coming for months. It's so clear on the chart. When I started this live stream out, I started with the Bitcoin dominance chart. Look at this thing. It hasn't fallen yet, which is crazy because people are trying to call a top on the market. But the true top of the crypto markets has always been at the bottom of one of these big crashes in Bitcoin dominance. That's always been the true top of the crypto market. You can see here in 2022 and here in 2018, those were both the top of the entire crypto market. That didn't come until after a big drop in Bitcoin dominance. So for people that are trying to top call right now on the crypto markets, I just don't see it, to be honest with you. We have not had the same type of things that have happened at our previous tops. Plus, everybody's trying to call a top, which I've never seen that when it's an actual top in the market. Nobody tries to call the top except for a couple people that either got lucky or they're really good at trading. But if you look here at Bitcoin dominance and we look at time cycles, this thing is really ready to start rolling down, falling off. It broke bearish out of a rising wedge this year. It retested the top of the bottom of the wedge, right here, which is a huge, whenever you break down, like most of the time you retest that level, then go lower. This thing is set up to fall off a cliff, man. And that's a huge signal, green light, for more bull market on Bitcoin, more bull market on altcoins, because during alt season, everything goes up. It's just the altcoins go up faster than Bitcoin, so Bitcoin dominance falls off a cliff. But I agree with you. It is alt season. Everything is set up for a perfect alt season and for a mass adoption cycle that could last like 2 years. Look, this shows that we could be going down on Bitcoin dominance until like 2027, even 2028, because you can see it consolidated sideways for a minute last time. We could go down on Bitcoin dominance and up in the whole crypto market for like 2 years in a big mass adoption cycle. It wouldn't surprise me. at all to see that. Thoughts on Intel? Sure, let's pull up Intel. Intel Corporation here. Yeah, so I'm bullish on Intel. I've been looking at this for quite some time now, actually. So basically what happened here with this, let's take this. Basically what happened here with Intel, we have our big picture wave 1 that happened during the internet bubble. Then we have our wave 2. And then basically we have our 1, 2, and now we're getting ready for a 3 wave here on Intel. So it really is set up for more upside. This looks like a nice bottom down here off of these lows. Intel looks really good. It looks very undervalued in the big picture, and I firmly believe that we will break above our old all-time high that happened during the internet bubble in the 90s for more upside in the big picture. Let's see here. Can you look at Pulse Chain? Sure, I'll pull up Pulse Chain. I talked about this in one of my previous videos or live streams because I get requested sometimes, but I'll run over it again. It looks good. I mean, you know, I'm not a Pulse Chain investor myself, so I don't own any Pulse Chain. I'm not a big believer in Pulse Chain in the sense of like I'm not like posting about it or crazy obsessed with it or anything like that. But we did break bullish out of this falling wedge. We came back down to support, and it looks like it will see a reversal here. It looks really bullish. It looks like it'll explode off of this. This is a pretty common thing to break out of a falling wedge, come back down to support, or even break a little bit below support, and then see a big reversal. So just with Bitcoin dominance ready to fall off a cliff, this thing will not be left behind, and it looks ready for a bullish reversal sooner rather than later. January 1st is usually a good time to buy Ethereum. It could be. I haven't looked at that super close, but I do know that these cycles do have a lot of variance to them. So there's usually not like a consistent, just every month this is going to happen. You know, people thought October was going to be huge, and we didn't really get that. And so I would just more look at the technical analysis of the chart. Ethereum does look like a really good buy right now, just based on technicals like we talked about at the start of the stream. We're in the bottom of wave 2 right here, and we have our ABC correction down from our peak up here, A, B, and C. So this looks like a really good place to buy Ethereum. But I haven't looked to see if January is consistently a good time to buy or not. I haven't really looked into that. It does look like this January was a good time to buy, and this January was a good time to buy, but this January would have been a very bad time to buy Ethereum, right? So that's why I try to look at the technicals like the Elliott waves, the trading patterns, the falling wedges, rising wedges, those kinds of things, right? Triple Drift 46 says, "What's up, brother?" Well, what is up? Thank you for taking some time to tune into today's live stream. What do you think about Mitch and the stuff on Theta? You know, it's just total BS. I mean, I guess because he's getting sued, you know, that could be scary for people that don't understand the value of Theta Network. First of all, Theta Network itself, at least last I checked, is not getting sued. It's just Mitch. And second of all, the allegations are just stupid. They're saying that he was like sexually discriminating when he's hiring and just stuff that's just, it's just stupid stuff. Like literally just some lawyer and some guy is like, oh, we should try to do this because, you know, there's opportunity that we might be able to do this. It's so dumb. They just want to get money from him. He's totally in the right. They're totally in the wrong. It's the stupidest thing ever. I highly doubt that it's going to stick. And yeah, so I'm still bullish on Theta. FUD usually comes out, people will get sued, or things that seem like real, like COVID happened in March of 2020, and then crypto pumped all through COVID. It only crashed when the news came out. But it seems like, oh, global pandemic, that's for sure going to send crypto to zero. Nope. So FUD will come out. Things that seem like it's impossible for it to go up will happen, often right at the bottom of markets. Like, this is a real thing. So I wouldn't give too much thought to it, to be honest with you. Okay, we're doing our last coin for the day. Sir Beard89 wants me to do XCN, so I'll pull up XCN. But I got to go after that. Do XCN. We did not bounce off the 7A6 for this coin like we were looking at in one of my previous live streams. But we are still looking good. This is still an ABC correction here. ABC. Perfect ABC correction. This is wave 1. You can clearly see we had a huge bear market here in 2022. In 2023, we started to bottom out. This is our first impulse wave in a new cycle. And this is our first correction inside of that cycle. So this looks really good. This should see a reversal off of these lows soon, and something like this. I don't know exactly how soon. I think it's very soon with Bitcoin dominance looking so bearish. If you just got here, go rewatch this stream because I went into depth about Bitcoin dominance and some things to be looking at. But this is wave 1 and wave 2 inside of a new cycle. We completed the bear market. We had our first pump over here in 2025, but we're really ready for our next big move for this coin. So I would say this is a good risk to reward for accumulating, a good place for a reversal to happen very soon. And this ABC correction is very promising. And I like the fact that we already had a bear market, so we're not like buying at the top of a bull market or anything like that. So this is a good risk to reward down here to be buying in this range at these lows. So cool. Thank you guys so much for taking your time to tune in to today's live stream. Happy New Year, everybody. I don't have any VIP sales going on right now, but if you're interested in lifetime signals, click in the description box below. Again, these really cool Theta hats, they're going fast. People are buying them like crazy. There's a limited supply, but check out in the description if you want one of these really cool Theta network hats. Snapback, so you guys can, whatever size you need. They're really cool. And then I've got these sweet hats as well. Shirts. These really sweet shirts as well. So check in the description if you're in the United States. The shipping is included in the cost of the hat and the shirt, which is $30 for a shirt and $30 for a hat. I love every single one of you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos and in future live streams. And as always, stay profitable out there.